What's up everybody? In this video, we are going to create our first flow using Node-RED. Node-RED is a robust program and there are a lot of things you can do. We're going to start off by looking at the basics and get a good understanding of how to handle data. Ensure you have Node-RED running and open it in a browser. You will see three main sections: the Node palette on the left, the main workspace in the center, and the output window on the right. The Node palette on the left contains modular nodes that you can drag onto the workspace and connect with one another. They are pre-written pieces of code, which makes it easier for us to do things like create a web page, make decisions, and output data. You can also add additional nodes that will enable us to do specific tasks based on our project deliverables. Let's jump into the program and create our first flow. First, select the inject node and drag it onto the workspace. Next, drag the debug node onto the workspace. You will notice that something's happened. The blue inject node shows timestamp and there is a blue dot on the top right corner. The green debug node shows debug 1 and also has a blue dot. Let's start with the blue dots. The blue dots indicate that something in your flow has changed and has not been deployed. In the top right corner, there is a deploy button. Click the down arrow and you will see a list of different deploy options. A full deploy will update and relaunch everything you have in your flows. Modified flows will relaunch only flows that have been updated. Modified nodes will relaunch only changed nodes. Restart flows will restart what was previously deployed. In most cases, full deploy is probably the best option. That way we ensure everything will relaunch. However, we may build more complex applications where we will not want to relaunch everything. Go ahead and click deploy. You will see the blue dots have disappeared. However, nothing seems to have happened. That's because we haven't connected anything yet. When you look at the nodes, you will see some have small dots on both sides and others have dots on one side. These indicate input and output options, and that we can connect them to one another. For example, the timestamp will send an output, and the debug will receive an input. We need to connect them together for this to work. Hover your mouse over one end and click and drag a connection to the other node. We now have connected the two nodes together. Click deploy. Next, we want to ensure the debug window is selected. Now when you click on the end of the timestamp, you will see information appearing in the debug window. The number displayed is the Unix timestamp. It is how many seconds have elapsed since January 1st, 1970. But how do we get the Unix timestamp, and why is it showing up in our debug window? Node-RED works using what it calls flows. Flows are a series of nodes that are connected and perform some sort of action. In the flow that we built, we have two nodes, the inject and the debug. The inject node enables us to trigger an event and pass some data from one node to another. If we double-click on the node, we will see that it shows timestamp under msg.payload. This is where we get the timestamp. For the debug, this should be a familiar concept, as it is something we have done before. A debug node enables you to see the values of a name and value as it passes through our flow. Let's make some adjustments and organize our code. Double-click Flow 1. A window pane will slide out. Here, we can change the name of the flow and add information about it. Change the name to My First Node-RED Flow and add your name as the creator. You can add multiple flows in Node-RED, and as our programs get more complex, we might want to organize our flows based on the different requirements of our program. Next, double-click on timestamp. You will see the msg.payload equals timestamp. Click on the down arrow next to timestamp and select string. In the window, type Hello World. Click Done. Because we updated the inject node from timestamp to Hello World, we need to deploy the changes before it will work. Click Deploy and test out your program. When you click on the inject node, you will see that Hello World is appearing in our debug window. you will see that the debug says msg.payload. Double-click on the debug node. You will see that the output is set to msg.payload. Node-RED works by passing messages between nodes. Each message is a JavaScript object. The payload property is the default property that most nodes use. Click on the down arrow next to msg.payload and select Complete MSG Object. Click Deploy and click on the Inject node. You should see that we have more information appearing in the debug window. There is _MSG ID, payload, and topic. The _MSG ID is a unique ID that Node-RED creates for each message. The payload is Hello World, but we also have topic, which is blank. Where is this coming from? Double-click on the Inject node, and you will see the msg.topic is there, but the input box is blank. Add a topic of My First Message. Next, click the Add button below the messages. We can add another message and give it a name. Type author and input your name. Click Done. Click Deploy and test out your flow. You should now see that the topic and author are showing up as well. As we expand our flows and make them more complex, we will be evaluating the messages and adding and editing the content. We can add other information to our messages as we collect information. Let's try one last thing. Double-click on the Inject node. Next to Repeat, click the down arrow and select Interval. Set the interval to 1 second. Click Deploy and you should see the content is showing up in the debug window every second. This scenario is similar to how the Arduino works. It loops through the program over and over and sends data to our program. Double-click on the Inject node and set the Repeat to None. At the end of this video, you should have created your first flow using Node-RED and looked at how we can use the Inject and Debug nodes.